What is the red pill? Can you explain this to me? And you really, I mean, we've got to give credit to you as the person who coined the term as it is used as it pertains to gender dynamics. Obviously, it's a Matrix reference, which goes back 20 plus years ago. But for those who are listening, whether they've heard of it or they haven't, or they have misconceptions or they think they know what it is, what is the red pill?
To me, what the red pill is intersexual dynamics, which is exactly what you were saying before. I'll tell you a quick story.
Please do.
I was March of 2021, and I had just started getting involved with Fresh and Fit. And I think we were into our third show, and I was interviewed. I still have this clip today. I use this as an intro sometimes on my own show. But there's a clip where they asked me exactly the same question. They said, do you think that the red pill is going to go mainstream? And my answer to both of the guys was, I hope not. And there's a reason I said that was because what happens is when it goes mainstream, people will take the red pill as a kind of a loose brand or a term. And if it seems like it's something cool that the kids are doing, then they'll call it red pill, right? Now that we're in an election cycle, really started kind of like about like June of last year, really. But an election cycle is really 18 months now. It's not just a year. So right around June of the year prior to an election cycle, that's when you see everyone pivoting towards like social issues and political issues. And what happens during those times is as people, especially traditional conservatives, want to pick up whatever is hot and whatever is trending at that time. And we saw the same thing happen back in 2015, 2016. So, for instance, if you go back to Twitter, Twix, whatever, around that time, and you look up Candace Owens' Twitter account, she used to call herself Red Pill Black. So what's red pill, right? Back then, people want to say, well, it's the alt-right. Or, well, it's a political thing. It's just seeing the truth for what it really is. And what happens is when it becomes ambiguous like that, and it's not like clearly, distinctly defined as intersexual dynamics, people take the red pill to be whatever their pet ideology happens to be. So if it's conservatism, that's the red pill. If it's I'm anti-feminism, that's the red pill. If it's vote for Trump, that's the red pill. MAGA, that's the red pill. Alt-right, that's the red pill. It's not the red pill. The red pill to me, anyways, has been and always will be about intersexual dynamics. So when I got into having these conversations with guys, I've been doing this, but people really know this. I've been doing this for like 22 years now. Yep. And I went back, people have asked me this before. I went back to look for my first instance of me using the term red pill on my old forums, like back in 2004. So for the red pill, or what we call the manosphere right now, there was no manosphere back then. But 2004, December of 2004 was the first time I ever found a post of me using that on the old SoSuave.net forums, which, by the way, is still around today. They're still active today. So there was the forum years, and then there was the blog years, and then there's sort of like the social media years sort of gets threaded into that. And then now we're at the YouTube years, right? Or the video production years. And so I've seen the red pill go from just guys getting together in forums and comparing notes to being guys like having religious, battles with each other and saying, Jesus says the red pill is incompatible with, Orthodox Eastern religion or Catholicism or Mormons or whatever it is. I'm like, dude, that's not the red pill. Yeah. The red pill to me, anyways, it's the praxeology of intersexual dynamics. And people think that when I say that, people think that that's some sort of cop-out. Because when myself or someone like Mike Sartain or Ryan Stone or some of these other guys that I've been working with for almost some of them over a decade now, when we are talking about the red pill, we are just talking about factual absolutism. Meaning we're just saying what is true and what is not true. How you use that truth, and it's really sort of a pursuit of truth is what it is. Praxeology outside of sort of the economics definition, there's two definitions. There's the economics definition and then there's the classical Greek definition, which is a praxeology is the study of human behavior in that human behavior has purpose, has intent, there's a reason why we do those things. It's not about good. It's not about evil. It's not about what's right, what's wrong. It's not even about what's best practices. It's just getting to the point, finding out why we do what we do. And in the red pill sense, that's about intersexual dynamics. It's about male nature, female nature, evolutionary psychology, sociology, neurology. endocrinology, how many ologies do we have, And so it's a very, very broad spectrum, because when you think about how many ways intersexual dynamics crosses into all these like subfields, when people ask me, they say, well, what's the red pill? Give me the elevator pitch for the red pill. There is no elevator pitch for the red pill, because it's like a college major.
Yes.
It's not a bumper sticker. It's not something you just slap on the back of your car and say, I'm red pill, right? So when I'm talking about red pill, I'm talking about like empirical, factual absolutism about the things that are, not the things that should be.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is right now, there's too many people who want to jump into this space and say, this is what should be. So I don't talk about best practices. I talk about what is.
Yes.
So when people say, well, the red pill is this or the red pill is that, it's like, no, you haven't been in this field long enough to understand what a praxeology is. Or
I find most people who talk about it and who criticize it now, it's very clear they first came across the term sometime in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, people think that the red pill begins and ends with Andrew Tate and Pearl Davis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they think. And when I listen to personalities like Destiny say, oh, the red pill's dead, it's over now. I'm like, no, dude, it's been going on for, at least in my case, for the last 22, 23 years. Yeah. You simply don't have the depth of knowledge of how we even got to this point in the first place. Because if it makes if it gets click-through rate, if it gets eyes on the screen, if it gets audience retention, if it gets impressions on YouTube, then that's the new hot topic and everybody wants to be a part of it. The good news is that these things come in cycles. So during 2015, 2016, that election cycle, red pill was whatever people wanted to make it. In 2019, 2020, everybody wanted to pivot out of red pill and wanted to get into social issues and MAGA this and alt-right that. And now we see exactly the same thing happen. So that's when I was talking to Myron and Fresh in March of 2021. That's why I said, I hope not, because what happens is individuals come into this space and they got no business being in the space. Yeah. And suddenly they become authorities on the red pill and they don't even know what they're talking about because they have no background in it. And for the red pill to remain about the facts, about empirical, reality, about the data, about the stats, about the praxeology of the red pill, it kind of has to stay underground. Yeah. It has to, or underground, maybe that's not their term, but it has to be in some way like non-mainstream. Right?
Yeah, well, it gets corrupted otherwise. I mean, one question I was wondering from your perspective, firstly, how much do you care about sort of owning that term? Is that something, do you get annoyed when you see the term being misused or just sort of being used as a pejorative or just being thrown in this way?
It gets into gatekeeping. It gets into a lot of gatekeeping stuff. And some people, we've had discussions about this before in some of the groups I'm in. Should we be gatekeeping? Should we not be gatekeeping? I've always been of the opinion that the red pill is open source.
Okay.
So I'm not the first word and I'm not the last word. I'm a very loud voice. I've been consistent in the red pill, like I said, for 20 some odd years. So I'd like to think I have at least some sort of authority in this. I have some sort of recognition and some sort of definitely some notoriety in this. But I'm not the last voice. I'm not the first voice. I'm not the last voice. And by the way, Andrew Tate and Pearl Davis are most definitely not going to be the first or the last either. Well, so same with Myron and Fresh, right?
It's interesting with Tate because Tate, as far as I know, doesn't even call himself.
Not anymore, but
did he?
I think what's interesting. Oh yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I did some of the earliest interviews with Tate. People don't understand my background and my history with Tate. When people say, "Oh, Rollo threw Tate under the bus" or whatever, I'm kind of Tate agnostic right now. But I did some of the earliest interviews with Tate on my own channel back in 2017 and 2018. Okay. And so I've known him. I've known Tristan for probably longer than anybody who wants to tell you they went to high school together with him, which they didn't, right? So back in the day, he definitely wanted to be red pill. He was part of our red pill. Well, what was the manosphere back then? He was definitely part of that group. And then Tate morphed into the Tate that we know from 2020 on, and so he became. He sort of metamorphized into something that we think of as Andrew Tate right now. But back then, he definitely he called himself Red Pill even on my show. So, but now, of course, what happens is once we get into an election cycle and everybody wants to pivot away, now everybody's Red Pill adjacent, right? And to me, that's fence riding. Quite honestly, I'm Rollo Tomassi. I am the Red Pill. Like there's no adjacent for me.